Hey, we're live. Good morning. This is Richard. Today, I want to talk about uh, some innovative or different ways to teach vocabulary and some ways that I've found helpful in teaching more academic words, harder words, I guess, as we would say in this part of the country where I'm from, 50-cent words, bigger words, words that are more emotive, words that have some emotion and force behind them. I found this works with the academic or 50-cent words and also with adjectives. So, bigger words that convey a larger or a deeper meaning. So, I share with you 5 words that I've taken from a larger academic word list, and they are inhibitions, dynamic, classical, energy, and colleagues. Let me do that one more time. Inhibitions, dynamic, classical, energy, and colleagues. Those are some very different words that sort of spread over a wide spectrum. And I think 4 of them are probably more interrelated than the other. I think inhibitions, dynamic, classical, and energy share some commonalities, and colleagues may be a bit of an outlier, but I think we can make them all fit together in a sense and find a way to teach them in a way that gives them all sort of a sense of unified meaning and purpose. So, one of the ways that I have found and have done so recently in class is to use classical music. I have taken some very well known pieces like the Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, or some more popular pieces from Mozart, like the Magic Flute, the Marriage of Figaro, the Jupiter Symphony, any pieces like that. But let's take Beethoven for example. And before I do that, I will offer say, tell me. I will give these words and we'll work on some meanings. We'll say, we'll talk about this word, we'll define this word, talk about this word in context, and give these words probably as a list, and say, define inhibition, define dynamic, define classical, define energy, define colleagues, and let's be clear at what they mean. Let's give ourselves basic definitions so we understand them in some sense of context. And then what I'll do is play the piece of music. We'll perhaps watch a performance. This is probably 5, 6, maybe 8 to 9 minutes of the piece, that whole section of, say, Beethoven's Ninth, that is the most well known version of the Ode to Joy. And I'll say, listen to this piece of music, listen to this piece of music, and tell me, what do you hear in this piece of music? Take these words that we've just talked about and tell me if you hear them in this piece of music, and where, at what point in the music do you hear them? And if you hear it at a certain point, raise your hand and we'll stop it there and tell me which word you hear. And we'll keep going. If you hear another word at a certain point, uh, we'll stop, raise your hand, and we'll talk about why you hear it there. So I've sort of picked these words, yes, in advance, because I think they do relate to sort of the emotion and the mood and the energy of the music. Energy is one of the words. And so by hearing it in the context of the music, they can say, "Oh yeah, I hear that swell as the violins lead to the violas, as they lead to the cellos, or as they lead to the basses, as each set of the string section builds, and then the woodwinds come in, and then the rest of the orchestra builds, the rest of the symphony builds, and then the choir comes. I can hear the energy. Yes, I know what energy means. Yes, it feels dynamic. Okay, I see what dynamism is. Yes, I have a sense of these inhibitions. That's a hard word to sort of describe. What is an inhibition? And the inhibitions sort of come off. And as we try to explain it, uh, as 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 the piece gets freer and freer and freer, a sense of what an inhibition is going away becomes a little bit clear. And also with colleagues, what's a colleague? Or as we say in our ESL class, where 100% of the speakers are um, Spanish native speakers, we say compañeros de trabajo, our colleagues, our co-workers at work, compañeros de trabajo, who are our colleagues. And then you're able to see the members of the orchestra as their colleagues, as their friends. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is just with simple tools, simple toys. They see almost as a science experiment. They see slinkies. We use slinkies. That's got dynamic. It's got energy. It goes down some stairs, and they have to lose a little bit of their inhibitions to play with a toy, and they have to work with colleagues at the top of the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs. So each of these words sort of goes together with the action of playing with a slinky. They have to lose their inhibitions. It's a dynamic thing. It's classic. That means it's a classic toy. It's from the past. It's got energy, and they have to work together with a colleague. Um, and I think we also have a third way, which is that language is a dynamic, energetic, classical process that requires you to lose your inhibition. So when we talk about these words in the context of language learning itself, we have to lose our inhibitions. So I can talk about them in terms of when you come into class, it's okay to look silly, but it's a dynamic process. You got to put yourself into it. So it's a way to sort of introduce the act of learning a second language itself. This is a thing people have been doing for years. It's a classic thing. It takes a lot of energy, and you are working with other people who are in the same place as you are trying to learn a language. So it's a way to put these five words, I think, are good words to put the whole process of second language learning into context. So you do it with music, you do it with toys like a slinky, and you can frame the whole process of second language learning using these five words: inhibitions, dynamic, classical, energy, and colleagues. So that's just some basic ideas on using five academic, big 50-cent words for vocabulary teaching and training. I hope that helps. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.